if your transmission is not working, first thing to look for, while the engine's running, oh, it's a better view from the front. While the engine is running, see if, I don't know how much you can see, but I'm trying to look. A little thing right there, see if that's spinning. In my case, it is not. This has happened multiple times before, and yeah. We tried to get, we finally gave up, got a new part, stopped trying to do our silly, whatever, cheap fix. But if it's not turning, I'll take these off. For some reason there's long bolts in there, well, screws, but you gotta take those off, one on each side. And then after you get those two screws, there's one on the back here. It's 9/16. The bolt wasn't there when we got it, but when we got it, this thing was also up and sitting down there somewhere. So you have to get that off. Okay, so after you get that done, yeah, like I said, ours broke. So you can just lift it out in two pieces. You have to hold that down, push it down, get it through there, take it off. Then when you start your engine, see if this bell is spinning. It goes to the transmission. And if that's not spinning, then I would check your belt up on the engine. And then check back on the transmission. Or maybe your belt's just wore out, who knows. But, yeah. If that's not it, well, I'm no expert, but I think that means you gotta take the transmission out, which is what I need to do. So next thing you gotta do, you gotta take these fenders off, which includes the seat on pretty much every tractor I've seen. So you got, on this one, you got 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth one we already took out. And these are 9/16. The ones up front, I believe, are half, but pro tip, if you're doing anything, make sure you get 7/16, half, and 9/16, and you should be able to do most repairs, because those are the three main ones I've seen. Got those two front ones out, so now the seat just comes right off. And take that out, throw it in the driveway. Hope it doesn't get wet when it rains, and I should probably bring a weed eater in. I don't know where to put it, but it ain't gonna get wet. And if you guys are looking at this saying, you did not take care of this, that's probably right. When we first got it fixed up, we restored the mower deck pretty much all the way. But the tractor, well, it was sitting in a barn. Someone gave it to us for free because it was broken. And, yeah. It sat over in that corner of stuff that needs to be fixed at some point. Except for that push mower right there. It works. Hi, Sketchy. Butterscotch! Okay, I got the back ones off. So now, on this model, there are 3 bolts on each side. So, 1, 2, 3. And then same thing on the other side. And yes, they are half. But these are bolts, and they have a nut on the other side. So, I'm going to get my ratchet. Then I gotta find my half. Here's my half. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on. And then I put ratchet on top, wrench underneath, use my other hand to hold it, and then just loosen. Heed the warning. Now for the fun part. have these bolts right there. Same on the other wheel. Little U-bolt. We have the belt. We have to do this thing. We have a pin in here because that's control forward, backward. Then we have 2 more bolts in this bracket right here. We gotta take out. Now, taking the gas can out, that would be better, but I guess you don't have to. It would just make your life a little easier. So, I'm gonna go underneath, turn the gas off. And then take this clamp off. Piece of advice, you might want to drain the gas first. Hey, stop it. Okay, so if you spill gas, clean it up immediately. Well, do that first so you're not wasting gas. But then you want to clean it up because it is not only extremely flammable, but it also takes paint off. Okay, so something else to check before you completely tear your transmission off. Take this bolt off, pull the pulley up, see if your key is damaged or fell out, or if you have to replace the pulley. When we were trying to get ours off, we broke it, so I'm pretty sure we had to buy a new pulley. And I think there's supposed to be a fan assembly up there, but, so next you want to jack your tractor up. You want it to be pretty high, because all this has to go out underneath it. Okay, so you're going to want them towards the outside so you have plenty of room in the middle, but make sure it's safe, obviously. I'm going to let this jack down. It's going to sink a little bit. Then it's going to... I feel like these jacks aren't even. I guess it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Then, you're going to want to scoot this jack up a little bit. Then you're going to use that support when you lower the transmission. So jack it up. So it's just barely going to be touching, or maybe under a little bit. You do not want to jack up the tractor based on the transmission if you're trying to remove the transmission. So there's, just got to hard to crank a little bit. I mean, I can still do it, it's just, oh, there's a little load on here. That's where you want to stop. Okay, so first you're going to want to take these 2 bolts out. Oh, it's 1 bolt, and then the other bolt goes to the transmission. That's fun. Well, I take that back. First thing you're going to want to do is take the belt out. So take the belt off. What you want to do is you want to get a crowbar, push on the idler pulley, then with your other hand pull the belt off of the back pulley. I've already done it because it takes 2 hands to do. When you put it back on, you're probably going to have to go on the engine again, make sure it's around that pulley. But that's fairly easy to do. So now you're going to want to take out those bolts. I don't remember what size they are. But I always start with half, because it's usually they're half 9 and 7. Oh, when I say 9/7, I mean 16ths. And since the half goes on there, it's a little loose, but it turns the bolt. So that's half. Now, if it went on and the bolt didn't turn at all, it was probably 7. If it doesn't go on at all, it's probably 9. It's a little wiggly on this, so it might be metric, but I'm lazy and I've already done this multiple times. Okay, so I got those 2 bolts out of that bracket. Now you have to take this out because this is how you tell it to go forward and backward. You know, it's hard to do with one hand with your phone. Okay, so I got that pin out. I have to get these out. Okay. So, we're going to want something as long as possible. Probably extensions, but I'm too lazy to go get mine. After a few, you can just kind of loosen them. But don't completely take them off. These are going to be the last things you want to take off. Because then your whole transmission is going to drop. And we don't want that. We just want to be able to wiggle it around a little bit. If you loosen it, that gives you some room to wiggle the wheels around, which shifts the whole transmission. Before we do that, we want to take the brake off, which is just one bolt. Not too difficult. You just get there from underneath. My hand's getting tired, if you can't tell. See, now we have the ability to wiggle it around. We have the brake, which is 9/16. So if I find my socket, here we go. This side, it is that little thing down there. So we just gotta get a ratchet in there. I believe it's 9. Yeah, it's half. Okay, I was mistaken. This stuff varies per tractor, so just look at what's holding it up. That was just the spring shifting. But if you do it from down here, it's easier. And then normally I'd have one hand on the top of the ratchet, making sure it's pushing in, but my phone's doing that, so. Okay, so after we get the, I don't want to say bolt, because it's the thing with the spring and stuff. Once we get that, we pull it out, and I just put the nut back on there, just safekeeping. So now, we can wiggle it around a little bit, but I always like to lower this a little first. Of course, it lowered itself, because, I don't know, there must be a leak somewhere, but make sure you check the jack. You want a little bit of clearance, but you don't want that much. Okay, so now, if you think everything's loose, you just wiggle it. And, yeah, that washer didn't want to come off, so I have to catch that. But there you go, I just gave it a push with my knee. And it just popped off. So now you have to worry about this, and then just those. So, what I like to do now is I like to just slowly loosen these. Or just loosen them as much as you want. Just don't take it completely off, otherwise it's just going to drop. And I am keeping the tires on, that way when we do have to give it the final drop, it lands on the tires instead of just the transmission. So it lands straight on the transmission, then it might crack it, and you don't want to do that. And the last one's always going to be the hardest because there's always some force on it. Because it's got to pull the transmission down. There's always going to be some kind of force on there on the last nut. Okay, we got a way to go. That's why ratchet will work better, but I have to use breaker bar because I'm too lazy to get my extension. Oh, there you go, it's loose. And since it's loose, that means we're probably sitting on the jack, so we can go ahead. Slowly loosen until we're ready to come off. And of course, it's being stubborn. But let me get this on there. So now you just want to do one last double check. Make sure there's nothing holding it on. Go ahead and put that down. And I can just kind of visual look-see. This is holding it on. Disable the pump. Then this might be an issue because it'll sit on this, on the mower. Taking the mower off would be easier a little bit, but it's not necessary. You'd be able to move your jacks forward a little bit. But it's not going to help you that much. Maybe if it's your first time, but I think I did it my first time. But okay, so this stuff isn't going to do anything because we're just going to drop down. But, oh, it's going to be sitting on the jack. It should clear it. Okay, so now, moment of truth. Slowly drop your wheels. Before you take the nut completely off, do it so the threads are mostly, maybe like halfway out of the nut. Just to make sure. Okay, that's about good for that side. Then this side. And you see it shifting as I do it. So then, okay, I have my foot underneath it, and I'm pushing up on it, so it's not just going to drop. It'll kind of sit on my foot a little bit. And put the nuts there. Then I have my hand over here to assist. Just wiggle it a little bit. Okay, it's holding itself up. And it's probably this stuff too. Then we gotta take the other side off. And oh, you feel it drop. Make sure you have your foot. It doesn't have to be flat, just smooths the dropping. And there you go, your trans out. So you might have to wiggle it forward a little bit, get that out. But we also have the jack. So it didn't make a big thump, it just dropped a little bit. That way if your foot or something is in the way, so drop your jack down. Jack is no longer on it. Okay, pull the jack out. And your trans is dropped. I like to move all the stuff out of the way. The only thing you have to look out for is this and some of this stuff. But be able to pull on your axle. And it's out. Okay. Now this is why you jacked your tractor up so far. Is because, yeah, now this has got to get out of there. Now you're thinking, oh, I can just push it out. Well, dirt differential, pull one back, the other goes forward. I don't know why it does that. It does. It's stupid, and, well, it's obviously doing it for some reason. So now, you can just pick up on one of your wheels. I'm going to do it this way, because I need to access the pump. Here's your transmission. Here's your pump. Remember that first thing I said to check for? That's this thing. You need to make sure it's spinning. And ours, I know for a fact, isn't spinning because, yeah. So, 4 bolts that hold the pump in. One, which went on that bracket. Going to go ahead, put it back on the nut in the washer. This would be a lot easier with 2 hands, but yeah, you guys. Okay, it's on there. All the bolts should be the same size. So I stole my dad's little mini one because I couldn't find my little socket, and yeah, it's mini. So it just goes on there. Oh, that bolt down there is spinning. So sometimes you can just take the bolt, and then the ratchet will hit against that, stop it from turning, and yeah, it's stuck. So you get your wrench in there, and you loosen the bolt. Or that's tightening it. Oh, that spring. Don't lose that spring. That spring goes in here, and I need to go find that. Okay, so I got these bolts nice and loose. Taking them out, you can do it, but yeah, easier way to do that. So you got to get this out. It's probably frozen in there, so you could give it some taps with a hammer. Give it some taps. Should come loose fairly easily. You might need to pry it a little bit, but just wiggle it in there. Do some wiggles. You don't want to pry one side off. You have to pull up on all sides evenly. So wiggle it a little bit. It should come off. Which you need 2 hands for, like 1 on each side. Take it off. This is what you see. That. And then, oh, yeah, this broke. Don't worry, this should not be broken. But it broke because we were trying to drill a hole in it and through the shaft. We did it in that pin we put in stainless steel, like the strongest stuff you can get. It didn't hold. And then it broke. We're like, oh, we'll put some JB Weld on there. It don't hold that well on this stuff. So you want to make sure not to get too much dirt in here. But that's pretty rounded. I don't know. We got a new one of these because we didn't think it would hold, and it didn't. So I'm gonna go get that and be back out here. Okay, so this is the part we need. It's the coupling half. Yep. That's what you get. Put it back in here so I don't get it too much dirtier. And here's our part. Okay, we got 2 of them and the moment of truth. There you go. It goes on there tough, but that's kind of what we want. Okay, let's get it on there. It comes off. Yeah, that's what we want. 'Cause the other one, you'd put it on like halfway, it would just spin on there. Yep. That'll do it. Now we gotta reassemble it, and then the fun part, the test drive. Okay, so now you want to turn your wheel, hold both the wheels still, rotate the center thingy, and you should see it begins to move. That's what you want. It's obviously easier if you have 2 full free hands, but now we have to put this on, and we can use this pulley to adjust that one, and then we can rotate it to adjust this one, and get it to sit in there. It has to go in a certain way. So, let's go ahead and get that in there. Yeah. Okay, so this side's sitting down there, but this side is not. You're going to see I'm going to adjust the pulley, and, whoop, it fell a little bit. Wiggle it around. Yeah, you can tell our key's loose in there. Because you see, or our pulley's just wore out. As you can see, I can move the pulley a lot before the shaft starts turning. And see, now you can see that's moving when I turn the pulley. I don't know which way it turns right now, but all that matters is that turns. And that was our problem. So now, the assembling. It's 11:10. I might have this done by lunch. I don't know. So I just gotta tighten all the bolts down. And I just got that all over my phone. So you want to get them all finger tight first, because you want to put the pressure down evenly. Except this one, because this one, remember, it mounts the transmission into the frame. So then, once they're all finger tight, all the 30 are finger tight, or however many, then you tighten it down just to the point where it's hitting that. Okay, and then you tighten this one down. Okay, then you get your wrench and you just crank them all down. Not too tight as to destroy the threading or anything, but enough so they stay in with all the vibrations and stuff of the tractor. Now for the fun part, putting it back. Now the fun part is getting all those levers back up here and the spring. So I'm going to find somewhere to put you so you can just watch me do the thing. And yeah. Yeah, now you can have fun watching me do the work. Because it's going to be fun. And if you're working outside and you have glasses, I would suggest an older pair that still works. So, oh, fun. Okay. Gonna pull the transmission up. This is easier with two people because you can just say, hey, push the trains up or something. And this is where your jack could come into play. You gotta make sure all these levers and stuff go back. It's the fun part. Okay, so now that lever's there, we can get this spring in place. Oh yeah, you gotta take that nut and washer off too, because that's gotta go on the frame. Okay, it's like 80 degrees out here. I'm sweating. Yeah, get away from that mower spindle. Once you get the stable lever in there, you don't really have to worry about that. So now, of the brick or whatever, but I use brick. Now you want to get your jack and jack it up to the right height. Well, not the perfect height. You want to leave a little room so you can pull it up and slide those bolts in place. If my jack's working, I didn't tighten it. You have to tighten that screw, that way it holds hydraulic pressure. Pro tip. Someone's honking. They're angry. This would also be a good time to start these. Don't put them all the way in, but you also want to start them a little bit. Or, better yet, just get like a small brick or a piece of wood or something. Just a couple inches. Slide underneath the wheels. That holds it up. It ain't gonna go rolling or anything. Now I'm going to come get you for a closer look. Okay, so now, I'll jack this up a little bit more. You want to make sure it's on the same side as it was when you dropped it. Okay, so when you get it up, it needs to be even. Get that little screw down there. I like to lift it up and just get it stuck in that hole that it goes in. Yeah, fun. Okay, so now we're going to try it. It's a lot easier if the whole transmission's at about the same level. So just jack it up and adjust your bricks or whatever is needed. Or you can probably have someone else do it. But, yeah. My dad's at work, so we can eat. And make sure that lever isn't stuck in there. You kind of need it, so now I need to put everything down and you have to pay meticulous attention to detail. Yeah, make sure your spring's still in there. That's a pain to get in after. I've done this enough times to know. It could always go worse. Oh, what was that? I heard a snap. If you hear something like that, then, well, something's wrong. Yep, So what happened? Spring came out. You don't want to break anything either. You gotta make sure the spring's in place. And then you jack it up. And probably jack it up a little bit more. Okay, something's hitting. Yep. Okay, that's hitting the motor deck. And I lost the pin somewhere along the way. That's fun. Let it down a little bit. Okay, well, I'm sure I'll find a pin somewhere to put in there. It's just going to be difficult finding one the same size without the original. Okay, so let's go forward a little bit. Yeah, jacks are good for. So the back's lower, so that's making it difficult to do it. But now, since the back's jacked up, should be able to put these U-bolts in. Should be able to. There we go. And it just fell out. Oh, of course. You do the same with the other side. Get this U-bolt. Oh, can't see that long. I just pinched my thumb and it hurts. Oh, warning, you might get cut or something, or bruised if you do this. So please don't sue me if you decide to tear your tractor apart. just growl at me? Hey, at least I'm letting you out. Everyone else locks you in all day, dog. I bet the people watching the video right now are gonna be like, what? Yeah, I talk to my dog, my cats, but I think my sister let them in the house because they have air conditioning. Yeah, well, fun. Okay, so now we can get our breaker bar or whatever, and you can just start tightening them. Those nuts, and they pull the back of the transmission up a little bit. Just make sure you're tightening them evenly. Coming up straight. Getting sweat in my eyes now. Here's the fun part. That bolt in there, and you can lift up and slide it in there. Or you can get this other bolt, get it in there first. And that can hold it enough so you can get it in there. And you can, well, you can't see, but it's angled a little bit, so I know I need to pull this side of the transmission up. Or that, or loosen the other side, but we're gonna have to pull it up anyways. So pulling it up at this point will help. We just gotta do little adjustments here and there. Then push that, and I need to pull up. It doesn't want to go up. Okay, so it's going in crooked a little bit. Oh, not a little bit. That's quite a bit crooked. However, it's in there. It goes up and forward. As long as it's in there. When it's in there, you gotta get the nut on. Don't do anything until you get in there and get the nut on. Otherwise, it'll slide out and you'll start over again. I'm gonna bring you in for another closer look. Okay, so after about an hour of, well, half an hour of wiggling stuff around, I finally got that bolt in the bottom started. Yeah, it's gonna be time consuming. This is the hardest part. Oh boy. Well, finally got those bolts on there, and my back hurts. What about you, doggy? Does your back hurt? Okay, got that pin in there with that washer. So now, here, I'll give you a better view. I hope you can see that. Forward, neutral, reverse. And if you need to adjust that down here, you just adjust that. So now, we gotta jack it up some more. Make sure the wheels are on there nice and tight. We don't want loose wheels. Oh, the bolts for the transmission. Oh, they're all by the transmission bolts by the wheel. Okay, well that side's pretty much in there. So now this side. When you do each side, make sure you do the front and the back about the same amount. So it's even. Okay, now we gotta crank them down. Make sure they're tight in there. Okay, so you gotta make sure your hand's there holding it on. Then you just pull the belt back. I'm gonna set you down for a second. Pull the belt back, keep it tight. Make sure it's on the pulley up there. And then you just come back here. You gotta put the belt through there, which I'll set you down again, I'm sorry. And then you can pull it tight. And then this on there. Probably need to get the crowbar to do it. Okay, so I finally got it on there. And now we got oh, there should be a knob on here, but we lost it. So now we'll get the gas tank back on. If you guys want to tip, put this in first. Ours broke off, so we struggled to get it in. And then just push that in there. Way up in there, and there you go. Yeah, I wish I would have known about that the first couple times I did it. Because it was a big pain in the butt trying to squish them both in there. So now, poof, I got these things in. All this plate body thing on. You just gotta put some of the bolts in. Except they go in, they're threaded, so they only go in one way. Put that in there. And then grab these seat brackets. Oh, by the way, they disabled the seat sensor. That's what those wires are doing. Oh, speaking of wires, I saw some wires in there. I don't want those getting too lost. So we'll rub up against something and you don't have to get these in all the way now. You can get the seat in later. Just get them started in there. This one. And this got bent somewhere along the way. But first, I'm probably going to jack it, take it off the jacks. Make sure all your tools are out from under it too. Last thing you want is to come crashing down on your best tool while the dog eats his food. It's okay, I'm not making fun of you. You can eat. Just... Okay, I got all those bolts in. Still have to tighten the ones on the top, but we get that little seat thing in there. Put the seat up. You can adjust this over as long as you didn't tighten them. And you can just push it in. And of course you want to... Well, mine only came with 2 bolts in there, and so now you want to tighten them down. And then you should be good to go. Okay, moment of truth. Well, something needs adjusted, that's for sure. Start moving.